Thus I have heard. At one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of Vulture Creek Mountain with a great gathering of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the samadhi of the many aspects of phenomena called profound appearance. At the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the power of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, "How should a son of a lineage train who wishes to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom?" Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva answered the Venerable Shariputra with these words. Shariputra, those men and women of the lineage who wish to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look at it like this. The five skandhas should be seen purely in their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form also is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are emptiness, and having no characteristics, they are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no phenomena. There is no quality of sight and so on until no quality of mind and no quality of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance and so on up to no old age and death and no exhaustion of old age and death. In the same way, there is no suffering, no origin, no ending, and no path. No wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide by means of the profound perfection of wisdom. And since their minds have no obscurations, they have no fear. Transcending falsity, they attain nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times have relied upon the perfection of wisdom and have become true and complete Buddhas of unsurpassable, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the profound perfection of wisdom, the mantra of insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for it is not deceptive. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Teata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Soha. Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and said to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva of Avalokiteshvara that he had spoken well. Well done, O son of the lineage, it is so. O son of the lineage, since it is just so, the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Sharadvati Putra and noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva and the entire gathering, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed.
高真千别过年节中的，过松多者我着做多数，平所给来些为准备过，他愿着为了我公耶稣，马律谢家节节自别多，小姐做我的了说我的。多劫千波的心，多劫强，觉在的罗巴多那罗巴，边求着别巴多阿的想，鸟来心罗就罗说我的，想把土面一年当着的，觉得对缘的当着别别。对上过36年4年吧，了解学遍见了说我的，遥远月面书记路中道，大王这把这边过脚前，上街公交婆婆要塞说，上门大爷见了说我的。协助当别穷阿的下，高当点别面部中端的，念着东西过去送了送，高当老母弄了说我的，高见学的自己送我们，我到这边我说接早的。当我点别道不开着的，要是就把钱拿说我的，叫做个的那么多的强，干了干的些年最重的，就当天幕不住自己的，这些那么那说我的。让家所着跟了大爷们，给咱他帮这边就，这边这边他看这把爷，现在些年当了说我的，叫我跟多样的那么弄。这边就别了东西去。萨当朗日有的少多年，多久将给过，有多一宿三节就，多久将那那将就不多多年就走，老爷就就别说那节。罗拉平时上街，如不说上街，热动作街就那那上就不多多年就老爷姐姐姐别说那街，罗拉平时上街，如不说上街，热动作街就那那上就不多多年就老爷姐姐姐别说那姐，罗罗便是上街如不有。哎呀，哎，他们这样，这里告诉爸爸，你当别去青年协议，告诉爸爸，咋的？说什么呢？给我上过烟上，研究把呢，给我上过些，什么东西？你电影子的的，各个年的，我呢给我上过烟上个这些。我中国呢，这咱们的军人呢，当到一句马出于蒙古街的，当到的撒娇蒙古街了，上云有蒙古去了吧，菜里给不干个吃多多。那他这一了这下3年间这几天，你说上那这阶段呢，说到我呢，连干部配送作文的这阶段了，当比去前年前年，你这也让弄不得的这种各个兄弟，我那就现在呢基本上说我的养成的，说我的就刚刚学说的就，先说刚刚打的我那人多啊。
So we're here today again, having this opportunity to engage in the practice of Dharma, for the receiving the teachings of the sublime Dharma. So, how fortunate it is for all of us to be here to take our time and receiving this precious teachings of the Dharma. It is let's just think about the wonderful opportunity that we have to receive these teachings. Because if you look at the world around, there are a lot of chaoses that are going on, and natural disasters, wars, and all kind of conflict is just happening in this world, and not having an opportunity to receive the teachings of the Dharma and practice the Dharma. And so just try to think about all those beings who are undergoing tremendous amount of suffering, the suffering that are unimaginable sufferings that are undergoing sufferings, and extend our compassion towards all those beings equally. And then think about yourself being a wonderful opportunity to receive these teachings today.
다 근데 이 강의 제가 가서 뭐 먹고 되는 것은 진짜 되면도 왔다. 방랑전에 같이 편위에다 면다. 다 소소하게 선바 되니라. 되지지. 선바도 흘러서 됐은 거로 다 선전을 매매 예지 수정 거잖아. 다 강의다 제가 뭐 보지라라고 해 말어. 아니 마음을 진도를 사용을 진도 강의 할래도 당가 전에 뭐네 지는 반자밀에 되노로 라면에 라마치사 이대를 받지. 메시지를 되면은 소소 차진 가나 가서 지리다 매기 단다 매기 쳐바지 제선은 당가서 매기 세도로 지내 되더라. 하여튼 이렇게 데뷔 거치라. 다 간저 지체는 가서래서 지지 추 제나 가서래 매지 펜바 자체 뭐 지도는 투자를 왜 근데 지 선화도 되세지 해도 배대 지 보기 전주 쇼로를 요소를 제다 근데 샤시고 신나선 로도 선에 직권지나다 주민들이 선지로 당은 매일 지바인 바 관심다 맨날 너무 뭐 쉬지는 강에 tren데 능가내 너무 뭐 쉬지는 바 시대 현재 되되지 이 던지기 문제가 있지부터 가르치는 요구에는 상이 선한질해 그래도 래도
So now, whether our prayers may become effective or may help those beings who are undergoing suffering or not, but it is our responsibility as a practitioners to pray and keeping all those beings who are undergoing sufferings in our thoughts. So it is really true that if you look at world around and sentient beings who are living in different parts of the world, there are many who are not having opportunity to receive such teachings due to the political system of that particular countries, or they're remaining completely under the brutal rules and laws of their country and so forth. So if you look around and compare ourselves with all those beings, it is truly amazing for us to be able to have such a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to live in such a world, the part of the world where we have all those opportunities and freedom. So think about that, how those really coming into beings, how all these opportunities and freedoms that we have. And this question should be asked to ourselves, and time and again.
so goes given to that can get I in Sanama so get that Tambichun is again, Joe the Resajela, can you typical Joe the Resaj Jam, Meba Segurata, choose only how you Joe the Resa came ever so one again, the Ricky Joe Tembo, but Tembo to be on with the round of Dinner number, Mebache. Tell no Regibel Lamas and Rene, Chinsi Dani, also do by Conding and Jimmy Bache. And Tantanga talking at Tangilava, Tanda Kangimo Shuch in the Hon Yamba. But the Junior Honjaba suggested that Jimmy had it and the many Dima Danakmaseva. Then you are not Rosetta, maybe you the Jody Yorada. She would select Yaba Shiba Najing, maybe the Chetumaneda. Tataking Sana Jiton in Sona. Counter sang Richard the young guru soldier, but the Dredge may be Jijic. That the Dredge can't tell any one in the Chitawan and Chichen and Shaw, the Taro Jana, Jenny, but then dinner sugar Lamana, the Sinjala, the Sahara, the Cherry in the Sang and the Chigi. And the couldn't be in somebody swung over the Jingo Janaya. Here I shall just send the Jessica Mado Chawra, the Dredge in the.
So now, there's no other object of venerations or object of refuge that can actually protect ourselves and all other beings who are undergoing sufferings who are undergoing, tremendous amount of sufferings in this world. It is therefore only the three jewels are the ultimate object of refuge, who has this caliber of protecting all sentient beings from sufferings. Thus, we visualize Buddha Shakyamuni in front of oneself, and who is then surrounded by all those great beings of the Lam Rim lineage, who are embodiment of wisdom and compassion. And imagining oneself being in their presence, who is also surrounded by all other sentient beings, the beings, as we talked about earlier, who are undergoing tremendous amount of sufferings. Although that we are unable to imagine each and every beings, every sentient being, animals, humans, hell beings, and so on, but try one's best to imagine and try one's best to include all other sentient beings who are undergoing sufferings, being in the presence of all those great beings, and then prayer from the depth of one's heart to the three jewels, and extend one's compassion towards all other sentient beings. And from the depth of one's heart, may all beings be able to free from the sufferings as swiftly as possible. It is therefore, may I request three jewels to bestow your blessings towards myself and all other sentient beings. With this, let's take a couple of minutes to meditate.
哎，热气，但这里跟了七八几年了呢，帮生把些也去呢，你可都写说呢，你读书没把写的，你朗诵我说积累这个，你去几嘛做，这那如果点点我的，老想接的，你在这些呢，题目书没把做等到了，你研究想说让到的到时节约他写了，你这那点点我是。
Having generated these positive motivations, the teachings we are receiving today is to the teachings that instruct us to the instructions that gives us to how to eradicate or eliminate the 3 poisons of the mind, such as attachment, ignorance, hatred, and so on. And then abandoning that, how one can achieve 3 principal aspects of the path, such as renunciation, bodhicitta, and wisdom realizing emptiness.
但这嘛弄啊，这边弄的，你想去弄就人吧，是弄就人吧，是。他呢决定做啥个啷个，是我说。
This is the unmistaken path. The teachings that we are receiving is to unmistaken path to overcome 3 poisons, and achieve 3 principal aspects of the path, known as the great graduate or the stages, the great deities on the stages of the path, the enlightenment.
但是在사실我的现在呢，他们送到本子包包里切瓦卡里了，是呢，就很准备点的现在，确的也不因为等到了，这包包里让他的写过去季节，你去可能也不因为等到了，你去切瓦写过是年节，送到的了，等这个觉得最近他们也呢，老在这个说的嘛，因为你俺说他的跟了就把那个，你去年这边搞了，跟了的这边过来，去年这个嘞，没有他这边过来，去年这个嘞。So
with this, let's begin our discussions on the great deities on the stages of path to enlightenment, as usual, by reading this 3 important outlines, beginning from the greatness of the authors, given in order to show the teachings as noble source. Then the second is showing the greatness of the teachings in order to engender respect for the teachings. And the third, how to listen to the teachings, in which both teachings and its authors are great. So with this third outlines also suggest importance of cultivating positive motivations, appropriate motivations to receive the teachings.
他在一说起什么一把的来呢？你这让就找我现在对比去当电脑逻辑大家有点吧？你也是，你让有雄心着能提起，你干嘛着想？
And this is then be followed by the sequence in which the disciples are to be taught the actual instructions, and how to rely on the teacher, which is the root of one's spiritual path, and how the students then train their mind after having relied on spiritual teacher.
他电脑逻辑大家有点吧了你，第一点了，你不能必须给我当，你不知道你去你。 懂不知道，但你不知道那边去了，你浪迹那家来，你不知道，你不能去我去，他懂不知道，但你不能去我了送，就不穷跟他听我浪迹人嘛，娘子呢，就不钱币浪迹，嘛人他听我浪迹人嘛娘子，浪迹人嘛娘子呢，就不钱币浪迹人嘛娘子呢，去去，他懂不认得，他就不钱币浪迹人嘛娘子呢，去了送，提前了就个过，甚至可能的嘛，甚至其他就不去，甚至呢学报路去送去，他懂不认得啥？ 他甚至呢，学报路子了送，甚至呢，老把老个别竞赛，老把这我了三节门主个的，老把老别人把你写吧去，他懂不认知识，他老把老别人把你写吧了送， Ni Tiba Chimbo Chila Loja, the Chibato Doja Tibala Lotsuji, the Tombola song, Shansaji Loba Londe Jama Jane, just said Nambazon, Zone Chetalin Bitsu, Domini Jita, Tazone Chetalin Bitsu, song, Gala Lobije, Della Lobana Duci, Della Chetalo Birimbaji, Della Chetal, Tatomoni Jita, Della Birimbalani, Shubachila Loja, the Chibato Pasha Tamanila Lotsuji, Tatomoni Jisa, but Pasha Tamanila Lotsulana. 现在的劳动偏对吧？第一个港股比，现在的劳动偏对吧？第二第二次经济对接对吧？现在的劳动我，第二个港股比就是个人也把宿舍了自己，到对东北些俺不等东北些等这些，当俺把宿舍了起来呢，现在了这的劳动了自己，到东北了上，现在就做对吧？对了对了，现在港比现在就比车是，那俺就现在有实际他们你。ne shine gambi shine rubi tse se ne saje tala de le chi da saje tala de be no pe jang az de shine ko tsa ro ga so de ro de dang az shine se ge tala dang az ge be na ma zo dang bi shon de she de ne ta she song je se lang ji jang se ma ne pa da ne saje sa la ro me ba de yo no ne shiro ge cha do ge to ba ji to ba tse dan de ba ji je chin je la ne shine me ba do sa me ba ji 아니 신나 규모이나래 아니 남비게 태바치죠 관계 찬다시에서나 따이 차도지 또바지 녀고 위해서나 아니 신내 때도 맨 미쳐바지 신내 패키지 정보인 바지 아니 디카도들에 가서 가서 사제 있잖아
We are currently on the chapter of serenity as a part of path. In other words, a general presentation of the way to proceed along the path on the basis of meditative serenity. So now the practice of serenity, or to calm abiding, in other words, is very important practice, because without perfecting one's practice of wisdom and method or the skillful means, there's no way one can reach a state of complete enlightenment. In order to attain realization of a wisdom aspect without attaining serenity, it's completely impossible. So therefore, whether one is practitioner of a minor practitioner, one is minor practitioner, anila practitioner, or Vajrayana practitioners, as long as one wish to attain the wisdom aspect of the path, the realizations, without having perfected one's practice of serenity, it is not possible for one to achieve wisdom, realization of wisdom aspect.
맞아 다 대신에 사소나 소소 타지에 또버는 연주도 상주기 생기 등주기 슈버기 차도제나 신내라 라랭로 말해 다 따이 차도제나 투상 방송이 노는 투존도 상주 싫어 돈이도 투존 싫어 연주를 상주 싫어 연주를 다 강조 연주는 로고나 아니 신내면은 아니 돈이도 별로 되지 못하라서 주로 강도가나요 강준 가는 해서나 신내면 번져서야 말해 투상이라 연주고요 이 넘버도 시고라 제용이죠.
So here, when it comes to the attainment of the realization of renunciations and bodhicitta, it doesn't require perfect attainment of serenity. However, when it comes to the practice of wisdom realizing emptiness, without the practice of perfect practice of serenity is indispensable. So now here, when we talk about the wisdom, although one may be able to achieve the wisdom derived from wisdom derived from listenings, wisdom derived from contemplations, without attaining perfect serenity. When it so far as the wisdom derived from meditation is concerned, without perfecting one's practice of serenity, it's not possible. If one think about the process of spiritual path, such as accumulation, part of accumulations, part of preparation, part of seeing, and so on. So without attaining perfect realization of serenity, one will not be able to progress one's spiritual path beyond the middling accumulation of path, the path of middling path of accumulations.
Number Sanja Bakuni Chichus Juba, New Yoba, Hamani Pison Sobe Yala, Med Mirua Bila, Shemani Med Mirua Yala Yimbe, Nandru Neve, Da Baby, the Kwanani Kundu Chibe, Laton Cheba Shao, also.
So we're on the page 94, beginning from the third paragraph, I think. So let's read through the text. Although there are many purposes for developing these concentrations, the attention of serenity, the chief purpose is for the sake of developing the knowledge of insight. Moreover, in terms of insight, there are two kinds, that which bears the aspect of calmness and closeness within, which eliminates only manifest afflictions, and which is common to Buddhists and non-Buddhists. And the second, that which is common to Buddhists and non-Buddhists, both minor practitioners and Hinayana practitioners. That is insight being the aspect of the reality of self-existence, which utterly eliminates the seat of afflictions. So this last is unique quality of Buddhists. The former is a luxury, not something indispensable, while the latter is indispensable elements. So that aspiring from freedom should proceed the highest, proceed the insight that comprehends the reality of self-existence.
Shine Cheguri Shine Drugers, the Gupa Carriers, Ishijeva Gupa Carriers, Alasona, and Lado Jibi Cheddars. Papa the Mazon Nando Tenda China, and the Dame to Belado Rajili Jibi Cheddars, Tenda Tereta.
So what's the purpose? And this paragraph talks about the purpose of developing meditative serenity is to attain the insight into selflessness. If we long to achieve liberations, the practice of insight into selflessness this indispensable practice.
Penanga Jondiro, not Penataba Tanchimba, Jinsona, Shira number change in Laton in the retailer, Nichimichi Gobi Chabayamare, Kesiona Yabor was, Pison to be Alaro was, in a Majuna, the Inchimichi Goyaski Marizo, and Deja Madalas Judovan, Digana, Dameto be Laton de was. Masaka catching in Dina.
So it's clearly mentioned in the text where it says that which bears the aspect of the calmness and closeness, which eliminates only the manifest afflictions, which is common to both Buddhists and non-Buddhists. And this is not something that is indispensable practice for attaining liberations.
되게 단단하듯이 되면서 배는 나비종의 캐파송이 좀 창자성이 지래. 지 로세 진짜 차로와 되다 코페 점점이 해야잖아요. 근데 제만데 다 같이 사발해요. 소리 많이 봐. 근데 가만데 오만이 이종이 창자성이 돼. 근데 저기 저만 따다해고도 신의 주급까지 하던 아니 되네. 하던 체용이 거라 창자도 비다 쉬지 차다 종이 창자성은 단위적으로.
So here it's the sequence that is explanation is just given in a very comprehensive sequence. For instance, if you look at it in this particular paragraph, just within one paragraph, it says the purpose of developing concentrations or the serenity, and then that takes you to why makes this serenity is important for one if one is longing to achieve liberations and competitive enlightenment, and is this serenity is indispensable factor for achieving liberations of compassion, or there's something else that is more becoming important to achieving liberations and achievement of complete enlightenment.
견자 지금은 컴퓨터가 자고 왜나 견자 오만들 컴퓨터 자리 애니 받을 저추추 차여야죠. 대는 일이라고.
It just gives us step-by-step instructions, beginning from 1 to 2 and so on.
되지. 샤오지. 대연 대다신 하시버다지 신의 상대 돈비 녀도지 세뒤바시 터나 디연제지 상대네 주면지 신의 마터장 delатene 하도 건배 거의 치와 타달래 저와 타바토 바닐라 다음에 대코나니 마또 시마가나 하시비 신에도 delatene 지템비 나도게 진여매 진여매바 면치지 뉴몽조와 탄지 봄비 시티 센터장 콜레 타바 면제로 선도.
So furthermore, even if you do not achieve a higher meditative stabilization of the form realms or the meditative observations of the formless realms, but to achieve the serenity explained previously, which is included in the levels of access to the first meditative stabilizations. When you can achieve liberation, freedom from fetters of cyclic existence by cultivating insight based on serenity, by means of mundane insight developed on the basis of serenity explained earlier, you can achieve the mind of peak of cyclic existence, which has eliminated all of the manifest afflictions of the formless level of nothingness and below. But if you do not know the reality of selflessness and meditate upon it, you will not be liberated from cyclic existence.
되게 계속 같이 와서나 내래 Kasingazo Sande Tomare Sande Sana, Shene Chenibade Rangila Chebatan, Sande Tombi, Sande Zume Jigino, Sande Tombi Nido de Tawari, Mujitaya Mares. Da Sande Tombi Nido de Tony, Muji Mata Naya, Dame to be low Rangila Chesona, Sande the Zume Yalangati, Mandoaji, Konoragi, Numan Tapato to Res. 다 산대게 녀도 타네야 산대 무제다 좀에시데 바운드리 시지 받은 로투르데 셔러번 롱에여다 대장제 아니 시지 센터 처음에 방투고 말에 연조만 고하는 얘기를 해서 간다데.
So here it says, it explains, very, succinctly, even though that one may have not achieved actual meditative observations of the formless realms, just by achieving the level of access to first meditative stabilizations, along with the insight into the surfaces, can achieve liberation, liberation from cyclic existence. And without having attained insight into the surfaces, even though one may have attained the serenities of actual meditative concentrations of the formless, one will not be able to liberate oneself from cyclic existence. Although that one may be able to reach the peak of cyclic existence, one may not be able to eliminate our reflections to gain liberations. So in brief, without having attained the insight into the selflessness, regardless of how much, the meditative serenity that one may have developed, such as, meditative, actual meditative observations of the first, second, and third, fourth, one will not be achieved liberation.
Chuje tembi jendo something uju mata chang diji mire tsejendo sipatane doba chi je son so dena jinju dan shion tangje je pabi lang tobi hanongi tendo jubi shenene hashibi something tombi nyedo ji dubate yin la dejendo jin jijaye dra jamba tangje jang hashibi shenela tene 나도 강배 자점부터 코나이바 시바 샤오 송 단단하니 시리데 시제
Thus, meditors praised that falls short, the first chapter of this. Praise to honor of one worthy of honor. Varna Sutra says, those opposed to your teachings are blinded by delusions, even after venturing to the peak of cyclic existence. Suffering occurs again, and cyclic existence is maintained. Those who follow your teachings, even if you do not achieve actual meditative stabilizations, turn away from cyclic existence, while under the steady gaze of the eyes of Mara. Therefore, the meditative serenity that serves as a basis for the insight that achieves the noble path of all stem enterers, and once returner in the serenity explained earlier, which is included in the access to the first meditative stabilizations. Similarly, know that all arhats who simultaneously eliminate their afflictions become arhats by cultivating insight on the basis of meditative serenity explained earlier.
哎呀，这里边社会学的对这些这个什么，对这些的对个别引起的事情，但那我这边呢，他那点哪里见都长多，别那学了吧，但是别那我来说不等着讲呢，那你现在住呢是一经验面把的48等着，48等着的老家常通常忙不等着了，怕娘家了怕当的的，那边搞了热巴的，最喜欢时候了，最一三年。就是人家弄的，日本刚刚这啥子的，那点了用就突出呢是的，三八出呢2年把3年，然后的嘛年送的结果是，但是送的，但是当个是逻辑上就按少的年，别想得送的。
So, and this particular, paragraphs, it's not necessary to go through any explanation. It's a very clearly mentioned. That doesn't require further explanation to it. So one thing that I want to share that is, it is said that once one has gained meditative serenities, going from one actual meditative serenity, a meditative absorption, to the second meditative, third and fourth, and sustaining one's practice of meditative serenity for a very long period of time. So the one, particularly those non-Buddhist practitioners, they don't even know how long their actual hair grows, and so much so that the hair grows so long, and it actually reaches the floor. The hair actually reaches the floor, and then it is said that the mouse will come in, actually eat their hairs, but they still do not know. But and then when they come out of their meditative serenity, and then when look at their hair has been actually eaten by the mouse, then they get a little bit agitated. In other words, the slight anger towards mouse, and that again, take them to the lower meditative absorptions, and in fact, the manifest negative thoughts will again arise.
哎呀，开始接的是那主要跟人呢，那当面都被逻辑，当面我年纪没大了是记住，第一呢说当面都被逻辑没完呢，那入面些的是真我就把的肉图那样给下来嘛的是呢，但那还要还得住的，东西样就是把住送的，东西样就我们这里是把夸住完到我的送的。
So in the verse that we have read earlier, it says, even if they don't, it says, even after venturing to the peak of cyclic existence, suffering occurs again, and cyclic existence is maintained. Because without realizing one's realization of serenity, it's devoid of realization of Four Noble Truths and 16 attributes of the Four Noble Truths, and particularly wisdom realizing selflessness. One will not be able to go beyond cyclic existence.
这些他这些，我是不是呢？就定义自己了，定义自己了，我都马上呢，这到今天吧了，没别他东西多吧，我呢，这没事别，我都当不着了。第一些人研究哪能没别，研究别讲，写了那么经济，今天吧了，没别他东到第一主编，现在没这讲。现在季节个的是，这张他妈这边常年这边人把当，这边人把年纪人把当别告诉这把严弄，到底那么的现在季节呢，这了的呢，写了那么经济哈通的，是这把的让人间的着当，但没别的困难你就那么经济哈通的。他把当他就前边狼着个把呢，这一点把机遇下家到把沿边，那就把刚给讲到啊，下我马沿弄，写下我呢，现在了点呢，狼空顿周围，这次这点把我才能个狼着的到，阿来他妈这点落下去了。
If you do not first establish in your mind's terms the concentration of serenity explained previously, it is not possible for for the actual knowledge of actual knowledge of insight, which is focused on either the real nature or the diversity of all phenomena to arise. This will be discussed later on. Therefore, while yogis in the highest yoga tantra tradition may not develop the insight bearing the aspect of calmness and causes, which focuses on the diversity of all phenomena or the serenity generated by this insight, they must develop serenity. Moreover, the point at which serenity first arises in terms of the stage of generation and the stage of completion is during the first of these two. In summary, you must first develop serenity, and then on this basis, you may proceed on the graduated path up to the peak of secular existence by means of insight bearing the aspect of calmness and closeness, or you may proceed along the five paths, liberations or omissions, by means of insight bearing the aspect of reality of self-existence. This constitutes the general seal of the Concourse teachings. So no yogis can depart from it. The proceeding in general presentation of the way of proceed from high to high path on the basis of meditative serenity. So without attaining serenity, it is not possible for one to achieve insight into the diversity of phenomena or the actual selfnesses or the suchness. It is not possible for one to have such insight without serenity. So here in this paragraph, it's explained very clearly. Therefore, while yogis in the highest yoga tantra tradition may not develop the insight bearing the aspect of calmness and closeness, which focuses on the diversity of phenomena, diversity of all phenomena, or the serenity generated by this insight, they must develop serenity. They must develop, the serenity. In other words, it actually, tells us that it's important to develop serenity, even the highest yoga tantra practitioner. So then it's in summary, it's clearly mentioned that you must first develop serenity, and then on this basis, you may proceed to the graduated path to the peak of secular existence by means of insight bearing the aspect of calmness and closeness, or you may proceed along the five paths of liberations or the omissions by means of insight bearing the aspect of reality of self-existence. So it just, you'll read the last two sentences of this paragraph. It really tells us there's no other way around to achieve liberations or the omissions, where it says, this constitutes the general seal of Concourse teachings, so no yogis can depart from it. The proceeding is general presentation of the way to proceed from high to high path on the basis of meditative serenity.
That's somebody cheba do jete be long juzi tembala ni shira number change long jubi modo shene tobu ba temba tang shene la tene debala chaba da jawa shibi chulo tombo ne cheni sosu jipi gone shira number change long gang be ne modo shene ma sheba da toba shi gode dode jele sondo.
So the next it says a specific presentation of the way to proceed along the mundane path. Here there are two sections. The need to achieve meditative serenity before proceeding on the path, bearing the aspect of calmness and closeness. And on the basis of meditative serenity, the way for freedom from attachment to the desirums. So that's it. The need to achieve meditative serenity before proceeding on the path, bearing the aspect of calmness and closeness. One who cultivates the path, bearing the aspect of calmness and closeness, by way of discernment of characteristics, must first achieve the meditative serenity explained earlier for the ornament for the Mahayana Sutra says.
당가서 시라나 가서 제템비 랑드스 제템 세데 당가서 시로바 예 랑드스 제템비 랑드스 세그레 다가지 티바쳔비 랑 가서 파나마트 친절한 제템바스는 다니죠 되지 다 시라 넘버 진지 세데 시라 세데 칸공을 시라이나 보마라 라바 가마라 시와단 오마라 도자다 가마라 지보다 들리지라 시라 넘버 진지 로기 녀녀전에 도바 컴퓨터 로시지 시버라 다데 간도 오에스 라와이나 세데레노.
So then now it's here it talks about the specific presentation of the way of proceed along the mundane path. The mundane paths are the path, whatever the path that we may attain, and if that is the path, the spiritual path, are below Arya's path, without attaining the path of Arya, regardless of how profound the path one may achieve, those paths are known as the mundane path. Then next, it then actually explains us the need to achieve meditative serenity before proceeding on the path bearing the aspect of calmness and closeness.
당가서 신내를 냠바 샤신비 걸을 신내 특별 걸을 신내 고 제지도 미바신내 데네 고 로랑질라 바 세나다 때는 템볼레리마도 그 일에 제바전에 컴퓨터에 이게 제메와 다 천지 소소르바 이시세데 해요거라 야나 칸 고말레 제와님비 된다 제와렌세네레 시라나지 로랑질레 제비체데네레 다메도 로랑질레 제비체데네레 되는 고주네 제바치비거라 아니 천지 소소르바 이시세데 고주요.
So just mere attainment of serenity alone, it's just being able to serenely being able to observe one's object of meditations without any distraction break. One is able to maintain the clarity and intensity of one's meditations. It will not go beyond that. So then the next that actually explains how to cultivate the path bearing the aspect of the calmness and closeness by way of discernment of characteristics must first achieve the meditative serenity explained earlier. So here it says, now, on the basis of attaining the serenity, whether one is going through the analysis of selflessness, or that or one is looking, one is seeing the faults of the lower faults of the desirums and seeing the benefits of achieving high realms and so on. So the heightened state of existence.
당연 도대 제노데 마치 장생인 데히 저사디 도대 제네 디시 때나 베시레 데 Dei tene peshene, pebarin the Joai, Mujit never de Tauboshi, Hashibi Saint, Gobashin the Jamba, Jeba, Tauba, de, Dingin the Pewala Dene, Mujit Juba Sumbi, Sharo, Denya, Saint Gobanes on the Yeshe Mata be partner, Yela Shiba Letomboa, Yela, Yeshe Tani, Numo number John, Debe, Seni Susujiba, Yeshe Gambane, Numo number John will let Tomboa, Sombe, Seni Susujiba, Yeshe Gamba, Yeshe de Taguba, Yende, Nensa, Le, so whatever the Lord, any passage.
For the ornament for the minor sutra says, upon increasing these concentrations and by increasing increasing its further, the yogi achieves actual meditative stabilizations. This states that one who has achieved previously explained 9 mental states together with the pliancy increase this concentration and thereby achieve actual meditative serenity, actual meditative stabilizations. Moreover, from the time of 9 mental states up till you achieve the attention of discernment of characteristics, you are said to attain beginners at attention, first attainment of serenity. Once you have achieved the attention of the discernment of characteristics, and you cultivate it out of desire to purify afflictions, you are said to attain a beginner at purifying afflictions. So one who cultivates the discernment of characteristics first achieve attention or serenity, the Sharvaka level states.
Let's
take a 10 minutes break here.
단지 도대 제노 빼마생이 제도 대중가서 빼마생이 돼 로지 대신에 더 처음에 강사 되니 이 진이서서 리포 이시도 뭐 주의 가르쳐 그랬으나 변화 시라노지 날에 담이 날에 동보 신의 이때 제비토는 일을 제바제 제비 디 싫어대 양 제바제비 제된 니용의 연주 될라 자도 신의 거는 파잖아 아니 던지기 강을 제바제시 이들라 제탄 유대제는 미바제는데 until sena tempo june trilli pema chene loko no kumbe de logo do de somba de gen nan somba de jing ta ji yo na de de pe shene sing ji do ma zo de jidan pema se de ma zo ye le shangju sanba de se ye 차쇼게 니시지 센터 라쇼긴데 세니 뼈마체네 띵인데 세상원이 신의 토마토상에 가자 되게 고마 된데니 비콜라 니 뼈마체네 양내 제고도 이렇게 간다 싶으셔. 야. No, that's all. So here, so we read earlier this here in the book that's citation from the Mahayana Sutra. It's upon increasing these concentrations and by increasing it further, the yogis achieve actual meditative actual meditative stabilizations. So here, first the practitioners attain meditative serenity. Upon achievement of meditative serenity, then cultivates the path bearing the aspect of aspect of the closeness and the calmness by way of discernment of characteristics.
the must first achieved meditative serenity explained earlier. So it says, now, first, in order for one to gain the discernment of characteristics, it tells that important for one to achieve meditative serenity.
Yes, Chanel number charge in the same social by a shake at the Josona, and Chanel tension, Yilichibachi, what to say.
So by meditating on, by maintaining one's meditative serenity, whenever, on the basis of maintaining this meditative serenity, whenever the practitioner cultivates the discernment of characteristic, is said to be the first achievement of attentions.
Tendri senior social by a shade the Shurubiji, and Numarabango and the singing the big Numarabat the Pombi Tandala, Legache Wore, then Tabata Taji, but turning Damiana, Numo Saben the Jeb Pombi Tandala, and Yili Chebachi and go to Yuda.
When such practitioners cultivate the discernment, if the practitioner is mere working for the attainment of the heightened state of meditative observations, then they will begin to such practitioners will begin to look at the faults of the lower meditative step, meditative observations, and then try to progress their meditative observations further, higher meditative observations and so on. So the practitioner is targeting towards achievement towards liberation and liberation, omniscience, and such practitioner will then be able to work for the attainment of wisdom, realism, selflessness, which will work to cut the roots of cyclic existence.
Should be channel Shanchu saying Yilun Juton get a shiva nagi, Tai Chane, Yilun Juton get a guitar, Nambi Shunga Amateur the Doton did it.
This is our method aspect. We do have, how do we actually, attain this discernment in the method aspect. Similarly, we do have how to cultivate discernment with regard to discernment with regard to the characteristics of phenomena, which referring to the wisdom aspect.
Yes, I let you. Della Yila she be left on Boane, Sichi the Shawani, Nila, Jesse the Yila Sheba, Mato Jin, Sensiba Jiba Nila, Maribi Pato, let on boa, Della Numon number Javi let on Boane, Yila Sheba Tobat, Numon number Numo. No, John Les, Casa, Numo, but now. Non les nyum ba non le se jamban de bi chen so so ri ba yi le she ba kan yin ba la zang de zang xin len ba la gong ba kan yin ba de xie song xin nian zhe ji ne ji wi ngo yang yi le she ba ta de je de len de bi cha zhe ji lang gong ba song be so ma shi bi xin ne de hong du gu du ne Tene jeten bi Platon drew ne Nyomo pombi tsu shin de jeba sheba de Mubi ten ju jen nan yang sewa ma jong ye Moji chu ngomba kongwa la keba javi Koma na ji jang tse ji bi shenen hon de druba dang Tela tene Nyomo pombi tsu Del ne tsu de sewa ma tang mo son
The cervical level states a beginner at the attention is a beginner while not attaining attention with respect to one pointedness on the aspect of calmness and closeness. And until reaching one pointedness, a beginner at purifying afflictions occurs after attaining the attention and begins with attainment of that attention of the discernment of characteristics and attention which desire to purify the mind from the afflictions, this familiarization with this practice. Also, at the beginning of the fourth section, it is said that you cultivate the mundane and supermundane path of detachment after you have achieved attention or serenity. This very extensive explanation in the Shavaka levels of the process of eliminating afflictions by first accomplishing the serenity explained above, and then achieving mundane and supermundane insight does not clearly appear in other treatises on knowledge. Former scholars who were learned in the earlier higher and lower texts on knowledge also have not clearly articulated this process of eliminating afflictions on the basis of first accomplishing one-pointed serenity. Therefore, if you have not understood well this explanation in Shavaka levels, you might have the following mistaken idea. The lower state of the path of meditative civilization from form realms and meditative observations of the formless realms is access to the civilizations, and the first of 6 types of attention explained in the aspect of the discernment of the characteristics. Therefore, the discernment states the mind of beginning of the access. It is incorrect to hold such views for reasons. So without achieving serenity you have no way to produce access to the first meditative civilization. If you do not achieve access, you will not achieve serenity. And since discernment of characteristic consists of analytical meditations, by cultivating it, you will not be able to newly accomplish the serenity that you have achieved earlier. According to the quotation of the level of yogic state cited earlier, there is no pliancy and one-pointedness within the desirums, and so within the desirums.
다 녀모노자게 미바체네 가제 사베 밤비치데 옛날에 먼저 밤비치에도 아니 고 같이 장소나 아니 체니 소수를 봐 예시데 고 주용 거예세 되지 린체지제 다 린체니 바데 신내라 되는지 되든지 되는데 비 랑게 주지데 뭐바긴데 뭐바저게 뭐바 공원을 켜봐다 아니 뭐바 공원 예정노라 아니 세고 송야 말이야 송도 송바 많아요 송도.
So here, now it actually explained very clearly on this chapter. That's in how do we, the process in which that we develop our practice from meditative serenity to insight. And then when it comes to insight, there are the mundane and supermundane insights. And what is known as the mundane insight, and what kind of practice is known as the supermundane meditative insight, and so on. So those are all clearly explained. And also, it also mentioned that some scholars maintain that by following the treasure of knowledge, or by following the instructions of Abhidharma, both higher Abhidharma and lower Abhidharma. However, in Abhidharma, it is not. There's no clear explanation can be found unless you follow this the Sharvaka levels, the text of Sharvaka levels.
Sante dang zume je lang je ma shu ne sante tombi ni do yin la. Dela yi shi zhu shi bi thoma tsenyi so si riba yi shi yin be nye do je du bi sen thoma je wa ne tsenyi so si riba yi shi yin no nyan do chuba je wa nju ro. Deta zona shin de me te de deta shine ma ta ba sante tombi ni do jesa me la. Niedo de mata na shineji shine tobi shedang senyi sosu riba yishi shegang yinbe she yinbe de gangbe shine ha mata ba sad ruba menibe shero ma sai ngoji long changba ta debi zeji ba la shin de shin me la Shinja mata na shene marupa go gunje la sobale sombi shete niedo tombo mata na shene meto po dena sodo dendido chesh.
Inge tiba the loss ya namse. Me the I overread earlier.
Oh, de lo chane ho chu do. Tanga zu dere da dere 신내기 주체당 신라기 양 로치게 내다데 제쇼데 니예산의 송바데 넘바 야보제 셰마도나 신이 소스 리바 이些동보제바다 신 동보제바니 추송이나 진의 지금 말에 신이 소스 리바 이些생에데 제가 정의를 신내데 토마 주비가라 요가 판단도 그래 베데 겐데 차글 송도아.
So here it talks about now, without following the teachings of the Sharvaka levels, just following the teachings of the higher Abhidharma and lower Abhidharma, you'll not be able to have a proper understanding of the actual practice of our serenity, where it says there's no such clear instruction can be found in the Abhidharma, which is what is the discernment of characteristic and what is the serenity. And the difference between the two, the explanation of the difference between the two cannot be found very clearly in the higher and lower Abhidharma. So therefore, this text actually suggests one must follow the teachings of the Sharvaka level, where you find this clear explanations. So this really needs to, take one's time and study more the texts, the Buddhist classical texts. Otherwise, just by mere readings and one part of the teachings will not, make us understand very clearly.
Then as Nido Tombi Ishi Trugi, Ishil Trugi, Tomane, Nido J. Dubi, Hato Gambi, Go Yinchi, Nido Tombo Sanje, Toma Mide, Di konde nyedo ji dubi shinen ro gobe so nyedo tombo dubi tingenzi mato kongi tingenzi tangche desen tsechi ba kwana yinbe yonchewa nane sheba dan dune haton tajoge shene toba yang shindo nyuwa nango sondo der.
So now here it's a sutra. Start having the intended meanings and so on. State that if you do not achieve piety, you will not accomplish serenity. Thus, if you do not achieve the first access state, you will not achieve serenity. States the sixth causal attention in the list of 7 attentions mentioned below is the entrance to the cultivating insight, included in the access state, but it is not right at the beginning of the first access state, where it must proceed by the serenity that is included in the access state. All state of concentrations prior to the achievement of concentration included in the first access state solely mental one-pointedness in the desires. So if you adhere to the explanation in this classic text, there are very few who achieve even serenity, let alone insight.
다 된주게 제지바 되니게 르세시자 도아치바 제 가디 투소나 아니 녀도기 뒤비 니 상대지 사토바레 아니 냐 고미 사토바레 다 된주게 사토 상이 시네토 상이 되게 아니 녀모빠 먼저 있는 사범 비트는 고츠바네 조데 진이 소시지바 이시데 제거레 에세데 내가 데레 안다디.
So what this actually explains us here is now when one is on the process of practice on the 9th mental state, there are 9 stages of the the practice of 9 mental states. One is not actually achieved serenity, because during that time, one has not been able to attain physical and mental pliancy. After the completion of 9 mental states, the practice of 9 mental states, one then attains the physical and mental pliancy, in which you actually attain actual meditative serenity. On the basis of attaining this actual meditative serenity, then cultivation of the discernment of characteristic will be followed.
다 세다 된주기 제집이 땡인데 되생 코나리 sondoa 제집이 다 디기 되생 디기 게라 칸고메기 생제디 칸고메기 산데 동보리 뭐지 되니도 세디 니도 동보 지거리 된주 니도기 센디바텔라 아니 시네살라고리 디제라 아니 가르사 체니 소소르바 이신리치 다 되는 제로모체 연주 오는 송연디데 가디는 슈지장 son도 저로 미존 쳐와 나네 셰바다 되네 다통 라질레 쟁에다 파유쇼다 신의 쟁에 뉴뉴를 son도아 용침보다 템베도네 주니냥 라질레 쟁에다 다 벽간제 전라다 바라통 파샤쇼다 신의 배제 쟁에 뉴뉴를 son도아 신의 뉴와 나마 son도아.
So here, Lama it's mentioned very clearly in this, where he made a point, the whole state of concentration prior to the achievement of concentration included in the first access state are solely mental one-pointedness in the desires. Let's introduce them. So if you adhere to the explanation in the classic text, there are very few who achieve even serenity, let alone insight. If you look at the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa, so his teachings are solely based on the teachings of the great Indian masters, teachings following the great Indian classic text written by the great Indian masters. Because he would not just say this and that is taught by, one's spiritual guidance and so on and so forth. It will not be found in his text. And then anything that he actually writes on whatever the class or the Buddhist text that he may write, its writings is solely based on the great Indian master's text.
다 신내를 때는 되어발을 차바다 저와시비 추네서 땅가ton들이 선동에나 싫어받아서 몇발 몇빈요만을 찾아다 간에체 투고래 상이죠로 다가는 몇빈 간에체 추때 간에서나 마시비 신내세와당 메도발을 수비 체바 도마다 덴바 대장지 말 대장시 공부 셰네 하토니 강양 마가나 되바 칸지 녀모 먼저와 양 제시 Reshila gopa minina nyomobe saben tang shiji jubapon tachumeji te shir debala chabada chay samten tombo tobandana shene tela tene hato gomba shawo wana hashibi shene zangla gomba shena nyomoba ngunjung go nyoba sheba tang jeta mingi shena jume de hashiba dene jetembe hato Sheneji Konsu Dubi on the Shella. Then a Haton Yakin Hondoi Nieto Dombi Dubi Sheneji on the Shebi Shero Charge Dubi Haton Della Yang Dembi number chain the Shella number chain Nije Chaba the Tewa Shibi Chu Nilen Dene Shimi Gone Charge Druba the Drutu Demba Yino Della Tene Loshagida. Della tene dame je tawa chunze chang maybe sure padang chun deba dam maybe tawa dang demba nyege gamba yodo de ngare de lang chenda shi gang be nyomo pawa ne ne sale delan deba lan de cha tang jewa sha yi sure rodo zumbi nenjo bene yila sheba number denji debi de cha tang jewa jesu tawo dembo 대다장 강시나 마바 천이 소소리바 예시 멤버 메발레숑 예시 메발레숑아당 로드 엠바당 가와디바당 슈비 예시 슈비 일레시바당 조와 타투바당 조와타인 제부 일레시바오 시숨바 따로 델라 타마네 더발라 차바다 제네 무질라 슈비 뒤지 예시 예베 주자 예라 아마 두네 두제 예노 와서 어디 린체지 조로다 인체다가 인제리 어디 린체지 조로다 어디바다지 로셔트 뭐
On the basis of meditative serenity, the way of freedom from attachment to the regard realms. Once you have become familiar with just the meditative serenity explained earlier, which bears the many attributes of clarity, non-discursive awareness, etc. If you do not cultivate either of the two kinds of insight, they will not be able to sustain even the manifest afflictions of the desires. In that case, what need is there to mention eliminating the seeds of afflictions, and cognitive seed of affliction is cognitive obscurations. Therefore, if you wish to achieve the first stabilizations, which is free of attachment to the desires, cultivate insight on the basis of that serenity. Why does this not contradict the earlier statement that if you become accustomed to serenity alone, you will suppress manifest afflictions? Reply: there is no problem. For the earlier explanation, it subsumed mundane insight under the category of meditative serenity, but this explanation refers to the serenity that is included in the first access state, and that precedes both types of insight. Moreover, with respect to the insight that accomplishes freedom from attachment, there are the two ways of freeing yourself. One by means of insight, bearing the aspect of the truth, and the other by the insight that bears the aspect of the calmness and coarseness. So this presents discussion in the presentation of the way of accomplish freedom from attachment by way of the latter of these two paths. With regard to this, the person who cultivated are both non-Buddhists who utterly lack the view of selflessness, and followers of the teachings or the Buddhist teachings, who have the view of selflessness. The type of path they cultivate in order to eliminate the afflictions accord with the teachings of the Sharvaka levels. For the sake of freedom from the desires, diligent yogis use the 7 types of attention and subsequently achieve their freedom. The 7 types of attention are the attention of the first, the discernment of characteristic, arisal from belief, isolation, delight in withdrawals, analysis, final application, and the result of final applications. Among those, the final of this attention at the time of entering the actual meditative stabilizations, upon being free from attachment to the desires. So this is what is to be accomplished. Well, the former 6 are what accomplish it.
되게 동보된 맞아 차대 되는 이제 이때별랑이 차대 간데 제투고 했어서나 또 신의 장식 건데는다 먼저 사배도 봐 유시는 먼저 상 방투고 말해 세대 개치 지체 신의 장식 건데나
So here now, the one thing we need to know about the paragraphs that we read explains this. It actually summarizes here is that just mere meditative serenity, let alone it will, it actually, eliminates afflictions. It will not even eliminate our manifest afflictions.
ngaso ngone chena khatu ngaso ha ko re pene shene chikwa chang chonse che ga de ding ne ni chibu khu de sono ma do met ko khasa kono ya je ro che ya ma re sena kar yo ne mena ko ye thoma yele cheba chena sena ke che me wa che ji pena nga so ji je ya me ba de so de ji le me ba chena ke ji shene do ji ne bi on de ta na bete me che chola so do ka ga ka jana de re ya je ro che ya ma ko ta ta ni chibu khu bi so chi.
So just mere attainment of serenity alone is not sufficient at all. It will not take us further the progression of our spiritual path. It's just it's almost like you're sleeping day and night.
다 니몰 변나 다 요나 대주기 차대 간데 제거선 차대 제대 일 제바진 차대 제거를 차대 정이 로데라 시라 넘버 전제 로지기 차대 제시지당 아니 니모기 자이 그러기 당시 시절로도 따네 아니 가르사 차대 제시니여레스 아니
So now
시라 넘버 전제 차대 정이들라 야 넘버도 시로베 닌가여레 다음에 또네 사베데 제거 방에다가 넘버 산제 밤도 요 말이에스.
So now here it says now, how do we then eliminate those afflictions, whether it is the manifest afflictions or the actual afflictions? It can be eliminated by cultivating the insight that bears the aspect of calmness and closeness, or they eliminate bearing the aspect of the truth, such as truth referring to the selflessness. It is by this cultivations one will able to eliminate one's manifest afflictions and actual afflictions.
전주기 차대 정액이 년조바되기 차대 정액들 가서는 차대 정액이 일을 이시들 된요레스. 다니 가서 천이 소소를 이시서 동바시서 이시들 된요레스. 다 전주기 천이 소소 리바 이시라고 들 차잖아. 전주 천이 소소 리바 이시되기 배나 차대 이랑 이시자 제소나 데비 녀몰 뜻라 두자다. 네 코코만라 시와다네 제바제네 아니 양 배마제네 양신내자 양들의 님이다네 도바랑질 중으로 다 되미버제 다음에 또 로크로이나 아니 니모지 단세기 로쇼다네 아니 천이 소지를 봐 이시제네 아니 이시 nenjung관에 아니 차대 제거를 해서 소용도.
So this is how that practitioners actually eliminate whether it is the gross or the manifest afflictions or the actual afflictions. Here, by basis of cultivation of one's meditative serenity, one then cultivates this aspect of calmness and closeness, which can eliminate the manifest afflictions. And then on the basis of attaining serenity, one then cultivates insight that bears the aspect of discerning the selflessness and understanding and refuting, in other words, the grasping at self. By means of refuting the grasping at self, one will then be able to cut the roots of afflictions.
디체 다 이시된 주제 다도 아탄로이다 게텐데 게테체 데르 다메비 데 간네 뉴모 뽕아 미셰나 젠다와시게 텔라 페네 데이 데 간베 뉴모 뽕아 시셰나 텔라 란데 데파 칸지 뉴모 먼저 젠야 뽕메장 데발라 차바단 제와 셰바 셰송베 조 데비 조 대차지 니보 간네 뽕아 이노 대양 대차네 데렌 데빈 데차 마른 데빈 데가라 데신 차바 임베 데 니보 데 고트만이 니미스 따데 데차 데이 진타지 도쇼 좀이 거네 공부시에 데발라 차바다 제와 셰바 셰바오 대양 데비 쩨당 산데 동비 연데 시제 말로바 소소지바 천이 소소지비 녜바 템보 예장 모드시네 주바메나 쩨여 데니 셔발라 제장 공부시에장 녀모범 미니베 양 미니베세 미니 라지 양 신의 주장 소소지바 셔바 마샤나 델라 제장 공장 녀모범 미니베 네 샬라니가 감비 고네 pongowa yinde sa ante yang Pangova yin te sen research. De nyomo pangwa tangje ne namba jaba o. Deba de chilon. Hate taje debo de.
La.
Taje debo ene deba de chi jaba.
Las Krishna. No, no, no.
Then nyomo ba tangje pangbi namba jaba o.
Question. If in this case you are not eliminating the afflictions through meditation on the meaning of selflessness, then what kind of thing are you establishing and then meditating on eliminate the afflictions? Reply. Although other manifest afflictions of the desirums are eliminated with this path, bearing the aspect of calmness, and closeness. The phrase to free yourself from attachment to the desirums, referring chiefly to eliminating attachment by way of its antidotes. And moreover, attachment refers refer here to the yearning for that attachment of the five sensory object of desirums. The antidote to this is to regard sensory object as the disadvantages in the multitude of ways. By thus adhering to the opposite of mode of apprehension of attachment, and then accustoming yourself to it, you become free of attachment to those desirums. Furthermore, you may have firm serenity on the discernment of characteristics and unmistaken discernment of the faults of desirums, and good qualities of the first meditative stabilizations. Nonetheless, if you have not already accomplished serenity, you will not be able to eliminate afflictions, no matter how familiar you become with the distinguishing between those faults and good qualities. Moreover, if you have achieved serenity, if you do not analyze the discernment, however much you cultivate serenity, you will not be able to eliminate afflictions. Thus, you must eliminate them by way of cultivating serenity and insight. This is the procedure for every elimination of afflictions.
되지. 당아서 도바티 다가랑 제거로 변은 뭐 뭔가 빵바도 뽕바니 제가 제바식으로 베베베이나 베베베바이나 얘는 당아서게 근데 다음에 또 별로 매바지기 뭐 간을 뽕 거를 쓰는 것도 좋아도 해그러. 근데 대라 아니 단다 변은 싫어 바치 인데비 대차데 간을 뽕 거래 살아서나 인데비 대양을 이미 있다. 아니 강 오만 되바텔라 가르치는 만에 이미 맞도 매바 강 고마텔라 시와다네 시라나 제제 로질라 때네 드비뇨모데 빵그레스 대빵바 대양 아니 드비뇨모라 이미 땅에 소소리바 이시대다 아니 대신에 니보데 아니 빼마치는 로는마도 지면은 지용고 말에 뇨모 간르치 빵나요 신내당 제바제다 템포 대니데 손레체는 로고에데 니 뇨모치 빵타데레 손도 아탄다데.
So here in this, how do we really eliminate those afflictions, be it as a gross level of afflictions or the actual afflictions? So here now it says the way in which the individual, the practitioners, actually eliminates this attachment of the desirums, attachment to the desirums, where it says, although the manifest afflictions of the desirums eliminate within the path, bearing the aspect of calmness and closeness, the phrase of free yourself from the attachment to the desirum refers to chiefly eliminating attachment by way of its own antidotes. Moreover, attachment refers to the yearning for the attachment to the 5 sensory object of desirance. And the antidote to disregard sensory objects are disadvantages in multitude ways. So by now, first, now meditative serenity, it is important to understand the meditative serenity, and then the discernment will not cannot be cultivated simultaneously. It must go, alternately. First, one must one attain this meditative serenity, and having attained meditative serenity, when you come out of meditative serenity, then one cultivates this, the path or the antidotes towards the sensory object of desirance. And this is how it goes, because when we talk about on the basis of serenity, one cultivates this, discernment bearing characteristics and so forth, that one must not mistaken by thinking that these are simultaneous, serenity and the discernments are simultaneous. However, it's not so.
This is the Nanga Chimbori. Shalanika Gambi Gone Pongo Pane, then you move Pong Tanchi Naja, number Java, or Dedana, so Sakongi Jun, Soso Jipi, Cheni Rob the Jipane, Jenga, Tobadan, Jenga, Ges, Jenge, Sanjon de Juma, Tuasan Jema, oh. Deta gombe to san le dene gambi nambe tachi de shiraji dana membership member shun yishi to deta nyesa le tseni amari tsema deni la mine shine dan laton gomba shedo she sonshi yishi juge gosu yang shila gomba son la yishi tombi gosu den de la sobi shir trula miba somba de gauchen de laton de lemambo sombe no me ben data da me be ta gamba me ya laton de minge lo so de ba de lo ne ni sha wi.
By familiarizing yourself in this way, you will exclusively be level in the object of calmness and consciousness by way of meditation that transcends study and reflections. And this is the attention. This is the attention arising from belief. In this regard, the Shavaka level states, focusing on the very sign, consciousness, and calmness, you cultivate serenity and insight. And even in the passage concerning the sixth attention, there's a reference to cultivating serenity and insight. The passage on the first attention speaks of focusing on the 6 elements, including the meaning. And in other passages, this focusing is frequently referred to as insight. Hence, even though this does not entail cultivating the view of selflessness inside.
Lisa.
That's all.
Yeah, that's what they choose in Sunday, Tisunda Sabi, Tisunda Rajin, in Japan, you Sabi, Giovanna, Shuji, and the Taladan. And the Raji Sujatanji Jilla, they shall to sing it, Shalas on the Nature Rajila Jenny, Zubi Sanji, Poponi one in the Tone, and that. Garza and don't get the Najim Sajala, much the Petsa on a gig, and be making to jet to a and Nibachi and Chow, Geneva and Dena should be in it. Number 2 be on board to the Shuja Sanjana, the Shanjalas, and Chujo Somana, Jota Chile, Chijin the Norris and one and Monachata, and the Chu Janaya, Pachis Sandoya, and Chu Lansandoya, then the Chivach and Dora.
So let's do our dedication here. by means of receiving these teachings and having discussions on the serenity and also the insight, may by the accumulation of such merits, may all sentient beings be able to cultivate the path, such as bodhicitta and the unity of serenity and special insight. And may I be able to complete my practice on this bodhicitta, serenity, and special insight, and finally to gain the state of enlightenment, so that I can work for all sentient beings simultaneously without an effort. And may all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the 10 directions please bless me, and also the Dhammapalas, please protect us and help us to complete our practices. And may all the Dhamma practice we may have done become a path to complete state of enlightenment.
Zombo shi rodo Ah, yeah. Thank you. Good night.